The Buccaneers could once again be missing some key players on their defense, but we'll tell you how and why the Bucs can overcome that and win in San Francisco. Let's go.
You are Locked On Buccaneers, your daily Tampa Bay Buccaneers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, and welcome to the Locked On Bucs podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We are your daily podcast covering the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, where you are watching live, and we thank you for making us your first listen or view of the day. I am James Yarcho, deputy editor of BucsNation.com, joined by my phenomenal co-host, David Harrison, who covers your Bucs for Sports Illustrated's BucsGameDay.com, and of course, follow everything on Twitter at Locked On Bucs, at JYarcho_Bucs, and at DHarrison82.
And of course, we thank you again for making us your first listen or your first view every single day. What's up, David Stacks, in the live chat with the first comment. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody joining us live. And of course, we also always love the people joining us post-recording, whether you're on YouTube or any podcast catcher of your choice. We also appreciate when Mike Edwards and Antoine Winfield Jr. are on the field playing superb defense for your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Unfortunately, that's probably not going to happen this weekend. The Bucs are once again listing them as doubtful. James said something and it wasn't in the script, so it threw me off. I'm sorry. So both of those guys once again doubtful to play this weekend, this time obviously against the 49ers, but there's some other players that are also in question. But one of these statuses should actually give the Buccaneers fans a little bit of hope. We'll get into that. But first, Winfield and Edwards, because again, James, like last week, I think honestly those are going to be perhaps the two biggest absences here in this game. I mean, I think anybody can make a case for Tristan Wirfs, right? But from the defensive standpoint, Winfield, Edwards, hands down. And again, no shade to Logan Ryan, no shade to Keanu Neal, but bottom line is Antoine Winfield Jr. specifically, if not the best safety in the National Football League right now, one of the best safeties in the National Football League, top 3, top 5, hands down. I don't think you can make that argument otherwise. And what he can do both in coverage, intermediate zones of the game, collapse down on the run, or come up in the box and play the run from the jump, can't be matched by anybody on this roster. That's not shade to anybody else. That's just how good Antoine Winfield Jr. has become as a safety out of the mighty, mighty Big Ten. Mike Edwards himself, I almost called him Mike Edwards Jr. Mike Edwards, a very talented player in his own right, definitely more of a run support box type of safety. He does have obviously some coverage skills. We've seen him make plays in coverage as well, but I like him more in that run support type of role than I do as a true cover guy. So you replace him with Logan Ryan, you replace him with Keanu Neal. Keanu Neal, just a box guy, like not just a preference, like he's just a box. He's a linebacker / safety type. Logan Ryan, coverage. I mean, can he make a tackle on his own? Sure. Is he going to all the time? No, not really. And that's not really what his game is about. So you're very, very limited from the back end. And when you look at how to attack a Todd Bowles defense, you want to take advantage of gaps, you want to take advantage of missed zones, and you want to take advantage of passing against blitzes. And when you have a guy who's limited like Keanu Neal is in coverage out there by himself after a blitz, that's worrisome. When you have a team in the 49ers that likes to get the ball out on the flats and out of the backfield very quickly and potentially isolate against a guy like Logan Ryan who doesn't tackle as great as some do, that could be a problem.
Yeah, when you're going up against a team where they have Christian McCaffrey, who is an issue when he gets into space, both running and catching out of the backfield. When you have guys like Deebo Samuel, who's just an offensive weapon, he can do it all. You have a speedster like Brandon Ayuk, those types of things. You need Antoine Winfield Jr. back there. You need Mike Edwards back there. So you have to kind of hope that maybe this doubtful designation turns into a game day decision or a game time decision, and at least one of the two, again, preferably Winfield for all the reasons you pointed out, they test themselves in pregame and they're like, you know what? I can go. I can do this. I'm good. Definitely concerned that they're going to be probably out for the second week in a row. But David, There's also some concern around Leonard Fournette and Akeem Hicks. Both players are dealing with foot injuries, and neither participated in practice on Friday. Hicks was added to the injury report on Friday. When you're a Friday add to the injury report, that is not a good sign. Again, you're going up against Christian McCaffrey or Deebo Samuel out of the backfield because he can run the ball as well. You have to have Akeem Hicks out there. We saw how much this Buccaneers run defense struggled when Akeem Hicks was out. Now that he and Vita Vea have been back, teaming up in the middle of that defensive line, their run defense has gotten exponentially better. You desperately, and again, no shade to anybody, but I think you need Akeem Hicks more than you need Leonard Fournette in this game. Number one, to get the pressure up the middle on Brock Purdy in the passing game. But then again, of course, because of Christian McCaffrey, you saw the way they shut down Alvin Kamara against the New Orleans Saints. They pretty much contained Mark Ingram. He was able to gain some chunk yards by bouncing it to the outside, which of course we know Christian McCaffrey can do. But this run defense is so much better when Akeem Hicks is on the field.
No, absolutely. Hands down. I don't think anybody can argue with that. But James, it's not all doom and gloom for the Buccaneers coming into this game. There is some good news. Cornerback Sean Murphy-Bunting was a full participant and is likely to play against San Francisco 49ers. I think we can even go as bold as to say we expect him to play, which is great news because, look, we love Zion McCollum, one of our favorite training camp guys. Still take every opportunity I can to see him in the locker room when I do get to cover games like I did on Monday night, just to wish him and his fiance, future bride, all the best luck in the world. Great dude. Loads of potential. His story is not anywhere close to that. I know Evan Klosky kind of talked about that as well, and I agree with all those sentiments, but Sean Murphy-Bunting is better right now, and so the Buccaneers need him out there. And then Tristan Wirfs officially listed as doubtful for this game, James, but Todd Bowles said he's not playing.
Oh,
So it's still good news, though, right? So
yeah,
you're not going to have Tristan out there against San Francisco 49ers, but it's still good news because remember, most of the reports or assumptions or expectations were 4 to 6 weeks for Tristan. And then Jason Light kind of went out there earlier this week and said that Tristan could become day-to-day much sooner than a lot of people realize and maybe that they expected early on. And now you're getting a doubtful designation. So, I mean, maybe we might be looking at 2 to 4 weeks instead of 4 to 6 weeks, which could mean week 3, which could mean week 4, but that's still better than a 4 to 6 week window. So there is some good news there stemming from that ankle injury.
Yeah, even if he doesn't play this week, though, I would love to have him out there against this 49ers pass rush. That means he could be back against the Cincinnati Bengals, and he will be desperately needed in that game as well. The Bengals pass rush has really ramped up over the course of the last couple of weeks, but we have plenty of time to talk about that next week. Quickly, before we move on, David, we do have to talk about Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa did not participate in practice all week long with a hamstring injury, but he's listed as questionable. Now, already ruled out for the Niners, of course, quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo, and then corner Tarvarius Moore and defensive lineman Hassan Ridgeway. They are all out, but Nick Bosa, if he cannot go, which I do not cheer or root for injuries, but, the 49ers are probably a playoff team. Maybe it's best that Nick Bosa just take this week off, rest up, get that hamstring right. Soft tissue injuries are, they can be a lingering problem. And so just get healthy, Nick. Just chill on the sideline, get healthy, and prepare yourself for a playoff run. Yeah, please don't play.
I have great news for Buccaneers fans right now, James.
What's that?
And I intentionally did not tell you this before we hit record or before we hit live.
Oh, geez.
Because I wanted to set this up. Before we went on this show, I just went on Grant Cohn's quality control show live with him. And Grant Cohn, for those who don't know, publisher of all 49ers, part of Sports Illustrated's Fan Nation, very, very familiar with the San Francisco 49ers, plugged in, all those things, right? He does not expect Nick Bosa to play this weekend. And he does not expect Nick Bosa to play this weekend because of all the reasons you just said, but also because, remember, the 49ers have a Thursday night matchup next week. They're coming off of a short week. You know who their opponent is next week? The Seattle Seahawks. So if you're the 49ers, you got the potential here to get Nick Bosa, maybe, if you're willing to push it against the Buccaneers. And if he comes out unscathed, maybe you get him for the Seahawks. But if you push him into the game against the Buccaneers and he aggravates that thing, you might lose him for the majority, half of, a little bit of, most critical stretch against the Buccaneers, and you lose him against the Seahawks. The only way you get him against the Seattle Seahawks is if he doesn't play against the Buccaneers. And which one is a more important game to win? This week against the Bucs or next week against NFC West division title contending Seattle Seahawks division rival?
Yeah.
I think it's an easy decision.
You have it would be nice for the 49ers to get this win against the Bucs, but you have to have that win against the Seahawks.
If Grant Cohn doesn't think Nick Bosa's playing, I don't think Nick Bosa's playing. Do this, Bucs Nation, and hope that Mr. Cohn is correct.
And we all dance in the streets. We are going to tell you what we are confident in and what we are concerned about coming up in just a moment. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp Therapy Online. Unfortunately, life doesn't come with a user manual, so when it's not working for you, it's normal to feel stuck. Therapists are trained to help you figure out the cause of challenging emotions and learn productive coping skills, which makes therapy the closest thing to a guided tour of the complex engine called you. BetterHelp has connected over 3 million people with licensed therapists. It's convenient, secure, accessible anywhere, 100% online. I am a big fan of therapy. It's always good, in my opinion, to reach to somebody outside of the situation, get their opinion, because you yourself, your family, your friends, sometimes you can become a little too tunnel visioned and not see that big picture. Therapists can help you take a step back, see that bigger picture, and get you back on the right track of wherever it is that you're trying to go. Everyone deserves to feel their best, and BetterHelp makes it easier to get started. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to match with a therapist, and if things aren't clicking, you can easily switch to a new therapist at any time. It could not be any simpler. No waiting rooms, no traffic, no endless searching for the right therapist. Get unstuck with BetterHelp. And right now, you can learn more and save 10% off your first month at BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOn.
Thanks again for making the Locked On Bucs podcast first listen or your first view every single day. Come in here live for our final pregame episode before the 49ers host the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Real quick shout out to the live chat, David, Tommy, FN Daily. I don't know what FN stands for. I'm just going to pretend it's not anything bad. So David had a question real quick, said that he thought Todd Bowles said only Tristan Wirfs was inactive. So basically what that means, Tristan Wirfs is the only one inactive ruled out going into the weekend. So these guys who are doubtful still potentially will be ruled out just on game day versus heading out into the weekend. And most likely Antoine Winfield Jr., Mike Edwards going to be inactive. That's at least the expectation we're going in with. Look, if it comes out better, then fantastic.
And real quick, shout out to our guy, David Stacks, in the chat. He's the one that gave me this.
Oh, fantastic.
That is from him. Yeah. So shout out, David.
That's great. Mine is right. Oh, just kidding, David. Sir, just kidding.
He's local. He lives like 10 minutes down the
right.
Down
Yeah, absolutely. Look, also you said Keanu Neal hits really hard, and that's you absolutely accurate. Could use that from time to time. And just like just like with Antoine Winfield Jr. and Mike Edwards, Grant Cohn saying that he doesn't expect Nick Bosa to play doesn't mean Nick Bosa is not going to play, but he reads the tea leaves for the 49ers a lot closer than we do. So, I'm going to lean on his expertise, just like you guys lean, hopefully, on what we at least try to tell you is expertise here on the Locked On Bucs podcast. Also find that expertise on the Locked On Sports Today podcast. Biggest stories, biggest games. Go beyond the scoreboard, behind the biggest stories with local experts like us from time to time and like others around the network, like only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports, you can find that on this app, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. James, we are confident in some things. We are concerned about some things. What are you confident in as the Buccaneers travel to the West Coast?
I am confident, and I know we've knocked him and criticized him, rightfully so, quite a bit over the course of the last couple of weeks, but I'm confident in Todd Bowles' ability to draw up just a horrendously difficult day for Brock Purdy. with this defense. Yes, it stinks if Antoine Winfield Jr. and Mike Edwards are out. Yes, it could be really bad if Akeem Hicks is out. However, you still have Levante, you still have Devin, you still have Joe Tryon-Shoyinka, you still have Carl Nassib, who has stepped up big. You still have Anthony Nelson, who has stepped up big in the absence of Shaquille Barrett. You still have all these pieces on this defense that can come at Brock Purdy relentlessly from a myriad of angles and make his day very, very difficult. Props to Purdy. He played a fantastic game against the Miami Dolphins, coming in relief of Jimmy Garoppolo. But now he's at the point where he knows he's the starter. He is preparing as the starter. He's coming in as the starter. And with that first career NFL start against the guy across the field who is a first ballot Hall of Famer from the area that you are playing for, it can become intimidating. You get the butterflies, the nerves set in. And if San Francisco starts with the ball, Todd Bowles is going to bring it heavy on that opening drive and really try to shake any confidence that Purdy has completely out of him. I expect a very, very relentless pass rush, blitzes from all angles, and a long day for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, give me a safety lined up over the center. Give me a safety nose tackle. Just want to see it.
I mean, they were dropping Vita Vea back against the Saints to be a linebacker.
So weird.
It was wild.
It's weird to see Vita Vea drop back in protection, pass protection. Yeah, that's all good stuff. I agree with all that you said. But the reason the Buccaneers are going to win this game, James, is because Tom Brady thirsts for revenge the way Dracula thirsts for blood. Tom Brady has made his entire career about revenge, about showing the Michigan Wolverines that they were wrong. Lloyd Carr, you were wrong. 31 NFL teams for not drafting him. You were wrong. The New England Patriots for not drafting him to the 6th round. You were wrong. Drew Bledsoe for thinking you were better than Tommy. You were wrong. Everybody was wrong. Randy Moss for not forcing your way out of Minnesota or wherever you came from earlier to get to New England. You were even wrong. Everybody was wrong. The San Francisco 49ers were wrong 3 seasons ago now when they decided to not bring Tom Brady back home to the 49ers franchise where he wants to play. He's wanted to play his entire life. They said, you know what? We got Jimmy G. We got Trey Lance. We all right. You have fun there in Tampa with your Lombardi trophy. We're going to sit here with our also ran ribbon. Tom Brady wants to show the 49ers why they were wrong. And he also wants to show them, James, why he's their man this offseason. And I know it sucks to hear, but that's just how this is going to go.
I agree with everything up until that last statement.
That's for future discussions.
Yeah, we can save it for the future, but it makes no sense at all. Same as the Patriots rumors. It makes absolutely no sense at all. But as far as everything else you said, yeah, I was talking to somebody today about the Last Dance documentary about the Chicago Bulls, where Michael Jordan literally invented something that somebody said. The person never said it. I don't even remember the player. I just know he played for the Washington Bullets at the time. Invented what this guy said to him and then just tortured him all night long. That's Tom Brady in a nutshell. And the 49ers are probably top 2 on the list of teams that he wants to torture. But I'll tell you what I am concerned about. It is number 12, having enough time sitting back in that pocket. I am concerned about the Buccaneers offensive line against this San Francisco pass rush. Even if they don't have Nick Bosa, they are still a formidable pass rush. They have the 5th most sacks in the NFL. They're averaging 3 per game. They have 36 sacks on the season. And the Buccaneers offensive line, there's no doubt about it, they are banged up. Donovan Smith said that, he's not playing to the level that he's capable of, and he has some personal things going on that he's not going to talk about that are probably influencing his play. You don't have Tristan Wirfs, so you have Josh Wells out there, who was a liability. Nick Leverett looked fantastic against the New Orleans Saints. You hope that continues, but this is a difficult matchup to keep number 12 upright and clean throughout the game to allow him to make some plays against one of the best defenses in the National Football League.
Yeah, Charles dropping the comment in the live chat. We haven't really talked about the San Francisco 49ers offense at all today, so I think he's talking about other people. We certainly think that the Buccaneers defense can do some damage against Brock Purdy. And Evan Klosky predicting 3 takeaways for the Bucs defense against San Francisco 49ers this weekend. So not everybody thinks that the Bucs defense is not going to perform here. But my concern, James, actually that the Bucs defense is going to become too big of a focal point. And the Todd Bowles is going to basically do what I've been complaining about, which is focus on making this a defensive-minded team, run the ball, control the clock as much as you can, don't take big shots, also don't take risks, and let the Buccaneers defense win the day. And look, to a certain extent, it's worked, and this Bucs defense can certainly carry the water that Todd Bowles has been asking them to carry, and I appreciate that. But at a certain point, we would like to see the Buccaneers allow their offense kind of go out there and deal a little bit more. If the Buccaneers let the San Francisco 49ers stay in this thing, Kyle Shanahan, I know he's got some less than stellar history in late game decision making against guys like Tom Brady, but he is a very good coach, very smart, can do some things to give his inexperienced quarterback some opportunities to make some plays. So I would just like to see this team put a 2-score lead, hopefully, at some point in the fourth quarter, then let your defense shut the door. Don't come in trailing by 1 or 2 scores or leading by just a field goal maybe, and depend on your defense to close the door. Put him out of reach, make it hard on Brock Purdy from the jump.
Yeah, and we are going to let you know what our predictions and our players of the game are coming up in just a moment. But first, this episode is brought to you by our friends at Prize Picks. You just pick 2 to 5 players, and if they will score more or less than their Prize Picks projection, you pick wisely. You won't win immortality, but you could win up to 10 times your money on any entry. You're not competing against other people in their wild daily fantasy algorithms. It's just you against the Prize Picks projections available. And Prize Picks offers projections on any sport that you can watch, including the NFL, NBA, NHL, college football, college basketball, and much, much more. They have safe and fast withdrawals and are currently operational in over 30 states and Canada. Just download the Prize Picks app or go to prizepicks.com to sign up and play daily fantasy sports. First-time users can receive a 100% instant deposit match up to $100 with promo code Locked On. Don't forget to enter promo code Locked On, LOCKEDON, all one word, at sign up for your instant deposit match up to $100. Wrapping things up here on a live YouTube edition of the Locked On Bucs podcast, our preview for Sunday's game, and it is prediction time. We are going to tell you our bold predictions, our player predictions. We're going to take a look around the NFL at some other games. But David, let's start things off with the bolds. What do you have for this game?
My bold prediction is that James Yarcho is going to mail me something because David Stack's coming through offering me. Also, look, David, I don't want to solicit things, but if you want to send me one, you see I've got 2 walls here, and you see I'm a little lopsided. I got the Sean Taylor shout out thing, which I think is very, very well deserved. New Era sent me 2 hats for my Commanders show. I've only got 1 Bucs thing that New Era sent me, so I would love to put a Bucs thing over there from you if you were so gracious to drop that off to Mr. Yarcho so that he can pay the shipping and you don't have to do that, because I don't want to ask you to do that. So that is my first bold prediction. My next bold prediction is that the San Francisco 49ers are going to get the exact same amount of sacks against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as I am. That is none. Oof. No sacks given up by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And that is not just a Nick Bosa thing. You're right. Dre Greenlaw, there's a bunch of guys. The San Francisco 49ers are talented beyond Nick Bosa. But this is a game. This is a game they want to win. I don't even say they need to win, but they want to win. For Tom, for themselves, this is a game they want to win. I expect to see a Buccaneers team coming out with a purpose. No sacks against the San Francisco 49ers.
That is a tall task, but I hope for Tom's sake and the Bucs offensive side of the ball's sake, you are correct. I'm not as bold. At least I don't think mine is as bold, but I am going to say that
it rarely is, though, so it's okay.
I am going to say that Christian McCaffrey will be held to less than 50 total yards, not 50 rushing yards, not 50 total yards. Christian McCaffrey will be eliminated from this game by the Bucs defense. Shout out to Evan Klosky, who picked Devin White as his predictive player of the game. Look, the last time Christian McCaffrey went for over 100 total yards against the Buccaneers defense was way back in 2018. And I'm sure some of you remember, but I'm sure not all of you remember when the Bucs and Panthers played in week 2 of 2020. Christian McCaffrey, he was held to under 60 yards, but Devin White was all over him all game long. And there was a mic'd up segment where White laid a hit on him as the Panthers were approaching the end zone. And Christian McCaffrey got up, patted Devin White on the helmet and said, you're the best in the league, right? So it's going to be an epic matchup between the two, but between Devin and Levante, they are going to find a way to limit Christian McCaffrey's impact. And I think it's going to certainly go a long way towards the Bucs potentially getting a win.
Christian McCaffrey's season low total yardage output, 49 against the New Orleans Saints, where they blanked the Saints. Actually, I would expect Christian McCaffrey to have more points or more yards than that. But yeah, 49. So Buccaneers potentially match that or even better, one up the Saints. I mean, why not just continue to one up the Saints this season? My player of the game is going to be Ryan Succop.
Yeah,
this thing is expected to be a little low scoring. Right? A lot of people predicting a low scoring affair, 17-13, 17-14, something like that. If it's going to be low scoring, we need Ryan Succop to continue doing what he's doing. This isn't bold, right? It's just because he just kind of it is what it is. He's 5th in the NFL in field goals made this season. He's 8 for 8 from 20 to 29 yards, 5 of 6 from 30 to 39, 9 of 9 from 40 to 49. Beautiful. 2 of 4 from 50 to 59. We kind of forgive the 50-plussers, right? No 60-yard attempts or more. So we just need Ryan Succop to continue doing what he's doing. But I think in this game, if it does turn out to be a defensive low-scoring battle, you need Ryan Succop to come up with the kicks that he's asked to make.
Yeah, Succop has been just absolute nails this year, and it's so nice and so refreshing to not have to talk about a kicker. We should probably talk about the kicker more to give him some praise, but I mean, think of all those years that you and I have been doing this, talking about how bad the kicker has been. My predicted player of the game is going to be the opposite of Christian McCaffrey. It's going to be Rachaad White. He is going to do what you would expect Christian McCaffrey to do in this game. He has over 100 total yards in 2 of the last 3 weeks. You have Leonard Fournette, who is now questionable, and even if he does suit up, is probably going to be limited in some capacity with that foot injury. For those that didn't see the tweet that he sent out following the Saints game, talking about his hip injury and his foot injury, it was the Jameis Winston clip of him just going pain all over, all that. So Leonard Fournette is not healthy right now. It's going to fall into the hands of Rachaad White to do what he can do. He's going to be a key player in that short passing game to evade the 49ers pass rush that David doesn't believe will get to Brady. And I think a big reason that could happen is because of the dump offs to Rachaad White, averaging 5.7 yards per reception over the last 2 weeks. He can be a weapon in every facet of the game. They are going to have to lean heavily on the rook. David, let's quickly take a look around the league with some lines, thanks to our friends at betonline.net who have more odds, props, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. Last week, you and I both picked the Bears to beat the Packers. We lost. I took the Jaguars. You took the Lions. You won that one. I took the Dolphins. You took the Niners. You won that one. We both took the Bengals over the Chiefs, and we both emerged victorious. So let's start this thing off. The Minnesota Vikings, the first place 10-2 Minnesota Vikings are 2-point underdogs at Detroit.
Yeah.
David, who are you taking?
I'm taking the Lions because the bookmakers are watching football and not just going off of stats. And I love people that do more than stat scouting. The Detroit Lions should be favored in this game, and they're going to come away with a win.
You're wrong, because the Minnesota Vikings are going to win this game. Now, while they are not, and you and I were kind of discussing this pregame. Yes, your record are what you says you are, yada, yada, yada. The Minnesota Vikings have been fortunate in the results of some of their games, but I do still believe they are the more talented team, and they're going to come away with a win. The Carolina Panthers, 3.5-point road underdogs facing the Seattle Seahawks. Who you got?
I've got the Seahawks. I don't have a lot of faith in what the Panthers are doing, to be quite honest with you. It's all Seahawks for me.
I feel the exact same way. I'm taking the Seahawks. The first place in the NFC, Philadelphia Eagles are 7-point favorites on the road in New Jersey against the New York Giants. David, who are you taking?
I've got the Eagles because I think that the Giants are not good. And I saw that in person against Washington Commanders, where the Commanders handed them a tie. Couldn't even hand them a loss, and they tried. Trust me.
Yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, you told me like 2 months ago, like, no, James, this team is for real. I believe it. I believe you. The Eagles are a really good football team. I'm taking the Eagles. The Cleveland Browns, 5.5-point underdogs at Paycor Stadium in Cincinnati, facing the red-hot Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow, who is 3-0 against Patrick Mahomes, but has never beaten the Cleveland Browns. Who you taking?
Yeah, Battle of Ohio. Look, Jason Kelce and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to get a win. Travis Kelce and the Kansas City Chiefs are going to get a win. I'm not even sure if they're playing, actually, but I'm just going to go with it because it bleeds into what I'm about to say. But not everything coming out of Cleveland can get a win. Bengals win this game.
I was real close to picking the Browns. I really, truly was. For some reason, just like the Saints have had Brady's number, Burrow and the Bengals have the Chiefs number. There seems to always be that one team that you just can't figure out, and they just, for whatever reason, can beat you. I have to believe that this is the time that Joe Burrow finally gets that monkey off his back and beats the Cleveland Browns. I am taking the Bengals. Last one, David. Houston Texans at Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys are 17-point favorites. We have to take this one against the spread. The Texans have only lost one game this year by 17 points or more. Who you got?
I'm taking the Cowboys and the points. This isn't going to be close.
No, it's going to be a nightmare for Houston. Micah Parsons is that dude. All right. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 3.5-point road underdogs, traveling to Levi Stadium to take on the San Francisco 49ers. For those that did not hear your crossover with Brian Peacock and Eric Crocker, I recommend you go back and you listen to that. But what was the score prediction that you dropped on that one?
Well, first and foremost, David, I'm going to let you choose that. I'll trust your instincts on that, but I appreciate you greatly. Charles, stop hacking my computer. Buccaneers 24. I do have I'm gonna change, or no, 24-17 Bucs over the 49ers. So yeah, just get out of my computer. I don't appreciate that. Also, Cody, Houston going to get smacked. Yes, I think we all agree that's going to be ugly. Don't even televise it, honestly. Like, just, you know what, just live stream it to Cowboys fans only and free it up. I don't know, Little House on the Prairie, something more entertaining.
Man, you're going to give people flashbacks to the Heidi game. A shout out to anybody that gets that reference. All right, David, I promised you I was going to drop a wild stat right on your head.
You did.
It's coming right now.
Which is why I sat taller today, so that it would be harder for you to get it up there.
The San Francisco 49ers have the number one overall defense and the number one scoring defense in the NFL. When Tom Brady has faced a team with the number one overall and the number one scoring defense after week 5 in his NFL career, he is 7-0. This is going to be ugly.
I like it.
It's going to be a situation where the Bucs opening drive looks beautiful. Then we have 55 minutes of anger, frustration, and confusion. And then Tom Brady does what Tom Brady does and takes the lead with an opportunity at the end of the game. I will take the Bucs 14-13 over the San Francisco 49ers.
Very nice. You, me, Evan, Klasky, it kind of rhymes, all taking the Bucs as underdogs. Evan is pretty usually goes against the Bucs if they're underdogs.
The Bucs have not covered the spread in 9 of their last 10 games.
I'm very excited for this game. I'm more excited because I actually get to watch it in person, or not in person, but live as it's happening, and do a post-game episode with you for like the second time this year, I think.
Yeah, they're far and few between, but by gosh, we will be here after the game doing the postcast and bringing more content to all of you. So thanks to all of you that joined us live on YouTube, that were jumping in the chat. Appreciate each and every one of you. And we thank you for making Locked On Bucs your first listen or view of the day. And of course,
we've got one more question. Cody wants to know if the Bucs get the ground game going. What do you say, yes or no?
Yes, it is. It is Rachaad White time.
I think yes as well, but I also think I'm more focused on the running backs versus the running game. I think the running backs have a key performance in this game as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just in the buzzer. Good job, Cody.
For the biggest headlines in all of sports, make your second listen the Locked On Sports Today podcast. You can check them out on YouTube, Odyssey, and wherever you get this podcast. We will be back following the Bucs victory over the San Francisco 49ers right here on YouTube. And send in your post-game reactions. Still having a little issues with the voicemail. So if it's okay, if you guys just want to drop us an email, it'll be easier for us to get to those than it is the voicemails, trying to get those kinks worked out. But of course, you can email us at lockedonbuckspodcast@gmail.com. Check out David's work over at bucksgameday.com. Check out mine at bucksnation.com and follow everything on Twitter at lockedonbucks, at @JYarcho_Bucks, and at DHarrison82. Hope you all have an absolutely outstanding weekend. Stay safe, stay healthy, fire the cannons. And we thank you so much for joining us right here at Locked On Bucs.